Hey, Chris.
Hello, hello, hello.
Yeah, I think we should start the security club next semester because all the paperwork was due at 4 p.m. today.
Yeah, yeah.
Ray was, yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah, yeah, that's fine. I looked at at what was needed, but yeah, that makes total sense. Maybe we can.
Yeah, we can start forming it, and then I did send Frankie Moore an email about asking if I can co-advise both club. She didn't reply to me today, so she probably is very busy. So yeah, I mean, we can work on that, and then we can do it for spring because
All
every
right.
semester we can start on it. But yeah, so I don't want you to have to feel obligated to get that done because Ray told me, he was like, "Did you sign the paperwork for your club?" And I said, "Well, I got an email at 1 p.m. today for STEM." And so, yeah, I'm waiting. I sent it back to them, so they need to get the other advisor to sign.
Yeah.
They should
Okay.
have asked her to sign first. But yeah, anyway, thanks.
No problem.
Yeah, trying to look at Michelle's question from earlier because she asked about list comprehension. And then I was just following it up with my husband to see what if he understood that, because the way she asked it, it's either you use a function or you just, when you write like the for loop to create your list,
Yeah.
it's that. But yeah, I think she was trying to do like a function within it, and he said something about using a generator. But anyway, well, it's 5 p.m. Maybe the other one will join shortly. Did you look at the lab yet?
I have not.
Okay.
I was at the cybersecurity club meeting for Riverside.
Oh, okay. They do it virtually, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I was digging around, and you know how we were talking about so we were in the lecture, I talked about dump it.
Uh-huh.
So it turns out that the company created another tool called Stardust, and it's pretty cool actually. It has the capability to do various OS, and then they have it's speed up instruction, but they have thorough instructions on these video that I included.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't. Yeah, I will edit the link. So the third one is for using Azure. And then the first one is using Windows, so you can actually incorporate it in Windows, getting RAM data for it, and
Hmm.
it's awesome in the way that it maps out all the processes for that system, so you can link all the processes. Like if you put your cursor, once you ran it, once you ran Stardust, you put a cursor on a process, it would actually map out all the link processes with it. And then the same thing with the Linux. So I added the YouTube video by Kame. If you subscribe to them, I think they have only 3 videos right now. And then you can probably find resources on their website and their GitHub. So it's pretty cool actually, based on what the author has included in the text along with this. So I was gonna download it and see, but it shows you how you can create a live USB or a live CD with the Linux, like Ubuntu, and run it with it for the second video. So if you are interested in checking that out, I added under the Unit 7 notes, and it's all captioned and everything. Okay, so this is by Kame, and they created Dump It, and they have another program called Stardust, which is like a sister program of it. Um, so, Dump It was the original name, and then they renamed it Stardust. I think that's what it is. But it shows you all the processes for different OS when you're looking at RAM. So that was for Unit 7 notes video. For the lab today, we are going to analyze cloud, which is we are going to use Dropbox in practice lab. So let me minimize this. So when you get to the lab assignment, I want to walk you through it a little bit so you can see what's going on. And it's actually pretty quick. I went through it. I didn't have any complication with it. I wanted to check it out first before you guys attempt it. So the beginning part, you're going to use Windows 8.1, right? And so we simply just power this on. There's some part that we would use the application in this. So like all the other lab, you will download some forensic tool within the virtual machine. And the beginning, you're going to download WinHex. I had already done that. So let me, when I go to my virtual machine, let me see. It's probably going to bring me back to where it was, but I'll show you. So the first part, it walks you through on how to use your IE, which is your Internet Explorer, the intranet site that they put up. You're going to go through using tools. Okay. And then in the tools, what we will do is we will look for the data forensic. And then you're going to get the winhex.zip right here. Okay. So this is going to accompany the application that we're going to be using, which they've been using it in the last couple of labs. So once you download it, and this, you know, so it's a fairly small file. So they tell you to go ahead and open it, but it's not fully extracted. So it automatically put this into the downloads. Oh, I didn't save it, sorry. I have it open. So once you have it downloaded, click save. Then once you do that, you click open, go back to the downloads folder. Because it's a compressed file, you simply just right click and then choose extract all. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to download this, and this is a way that we can do the checksum. And once you have extracted it, these are the files for it. What you need to do is the shortcut to the application, we would need to make a shortcut to the application by sending it to the desktop. Okay, so that way when you browse through it through another application, you can point to it and then you can use the WinHex to do the checksum for your file. So this lab, its purpose is to analyze the content in the cloud, which is what we're going to be using with Dropbox. And I know it has some correlation with the RAM material that we went over, but in the software tool that you have, that you've been using, it also have a way to read the memory. So I simply did this part. I downloaded the winhex.zip from tools data forensic. Okay, and you can open up Windows 8.1 virtual machine, open up Internet Explorer, which is the E, and then you will be able to download the file. Once I downloaded the file, I simply extracted it and I copied, right, the application shortcut, or I send it to the desktop. After that, what you will do next is you are going to get the image that they had created in C work data files and chapter 05 image. So back to our Windows 8.1, right? So once we had created the shortcut and everything, we can go to the file manager, go to the C drive, and then work folder, data files, and then the O5 image. Okay, so that's in chapter CH05. Now, what we want to do here is they're gonna have you extract it. So if you click it open, it's gonna want to launch the WinRAR extract, and then you're just gonna click extract that file. So first we downloaded the WinHex, we extracted the file, we decompress it, then we copy the desktop to the desktop icon. Then we're gonna extract the image file from chapter 5 in the work data files. Okay, so let's get back to that. Okay, so I navigated to the C drive from the directory, from the file manager here to the C drive, and then from there I go to work folder and I go to data files. And then I open up CH05 and I find this image, and we would right click, choose open, and this would extract it. And then we instruct it to extract. This takes a little bit. So this one is fairly quick compared to all the other ones that we've been working on. So once we complete that part, we extracted the image, then we're going to open up the other application. Okay. So what they want is we're going to make a subfolder inside the work data files. Okay, or yeah, inside the work data files, we're going to call it work and chap 13 and chapter. Okay, so what I simply do is I go to my Windows 8. Once I extract it, it would look like this. Okay, so we can minimize this, and then actually I'm going to go into the C drive again, work, data files, and then we can right click or choose new, right click, new folder. And we would say CH13, I think that's how they name it. They say work and chap 13 and chapter. Because what you're going to be doing is you are going to mount the drive with the image to this. So we want to make an empty folder. So when you approach something like this, you want to use a tool, like we said, like WinHex, then you are going to have an image and you would extract that image. And then what you're going to do is you are to create a directory, and we're going to link that image to that directory. Okay. So at this point, after we make a blank folder, an empty folder, then we're going to open up OS Forensic. And you have used this in the last few weeks. So in the OS Forensic, you're going to create a new file, a new case, and then fill out the information. So now Windows 8, if we've been working on it, but if you're not sure, so once we have this created, you can click on the start button, because it doesn't have a search bar like Windows 10. At this point, what we can do is we can click the search option here, and then we can say OS Forensic and search for the application. And this should look very familiar to us. So in this, right? You can manage your case, but I was going through all the things that we've been doing, right? We looked at deleted files, registry viewer. Here it also have a memory viewer, which is cool. So this tool also has the components for memory viewer. We're going to continue to use the free version. You are going to create a case. And here they have you name it a specific way. Okay. So once we add a new case, you are going to fill it out in chap 13, and then you put your name and then click on investigate disk from another machines and click custom location where you would point to the folder. So here's my case information. Okay, and then you put your name. And then what you do is you investigate this from another machine. We're going to do a custom location. Okay. And it tells you that after that, you're going to click the browse button. And then from the browse button, you're going to locate that folder that you created. So you will link that folder to the case. Then after that, you're going to click OK to set that up. And then you're going to mount the, and you're going to see the, you're going to click the mount drive image, which is at the bottom. Okay, so I'll show that real quick. So after we do this, we're going to click browse. We're going to go to this PC. We're going to go to the folder that we created, which is in C drive, and then data work folder, and then data files. And then we're going to go down to the bottom, which is what the folder we created. Okay, work and chapter 13 and chapter. We're going to click OK. Then we click OK. So you should see your created case information there. Then after that, you would, let me see if I can expand this. You would click this arrow to go down, keep going, right? And then mount drive image, click that, okay? So here, per the instructions, what we have is we are going to mount the image that we extracted, okay? So you would click on the mount new, and then after that, you would point or browse to the image file, which is the image 05. Okay. From that, what we will do is we will open it up and we will analyze it. And this image is created that contains Dropbox information, which is the cloud storage. Now, you know, using other tools, you can use Shell, and then you can remote connect to a cloud virtual machines, and then you can be able to analyze it. So there are ways to still be able to analyze virtual machine without, you know, live directly. Okay, so on the videos for the other tools, you will see that they use a shell, and then they also use RDP in Windows to connect to the other system remotely. And RDP is for remote desktop. So back to our virtual machine here, right? We would want to mount new, and then you would browse to the image that you extracted. So that was in Oh, no, I want the other folder. Data files and then chapter 5. And there's the image that we extracted. Okay, so make sure that you have that extracted per instructions. Otherwise, you don't have the image there. Okay. Now, from there, what we will do is, let me see. I gotta make sure okay. So once you have that mounted and pointed to the image that we extracted, you simply click OK. Okay. And then we would exit the pass mark dialog box. So close that. And then you're going to make a new index. And with the index, what that will do is it will show you the value for the predefined index for that particular storage, that cloud storage. Okay, so here. Okay, so we can get rid of this. Okay, so search index is here. Okay, and once you set up your index, you can search for a specific index. But first, you have to do a create index. Okay, so you have to use the one right above search index. So you want to create the index, and then that way you can specify what kind of index. So in this case, we don't know what kind of files that's in the image, so you would select the unknown files and click next. Okay, so for this particular tool, what you're doing is you have to create the index, and then from there, what we can see what it will find, and then from there we can search for a specific area of that index. So one up. So here's your create index. And with this, right, you can, we talked about last time where we can find specific files. So here is where you can look for plain text file, you can look for office files, you can look for unknown files, images, etc. So what we'll do is we'll select unknown files, and then we're going to click next. Okay. Then you can add additional type of index. So once you have selected that, we will add the index, and then we will point to the whole drive itself. So what the notes is saying, that when you have additional drive, what you can do is you can point to, like, for example, like USB, you can point to like E drive or a DVD drive, etc. Okay, so here we'll do an add, and then you simply click the drop down menu, choose D. Okay, and if you are looking for the unallocated cluster, then you select that, and then we'll click OK. So it shows up here that we would like to index D drive. Okay, and you can add more than one at this step, right? But for the lab, they only have you add D drive. Okay. So for the title, we are going to put in this looking for Dropbox prefetch. That will be the title for the index that we create. And then it will take a few minutes to create it. Okay. So once we click next here, right, in the title, it automatically put the default my index. So we can say looking for Dropbox prefetch. Okay, and then we can start indexing. Now, depending on the image, the size of it, this one is not too large, so it is fairly fast. But when you have a larger image, it does take a little longer. So if you specify for it to index email or other type, then it's gonna also index that. What that will do for us is we can use the index to search for a specific type of file or what the hex value that would represent, you know, that file or certain data that's there. So this take like a few minutes. Once that's going, okay, they give you the screenshot there. Then once we have created the index, we can search for it. So after that, we're gonna search for Dropbox, and then it's gonna give you a list. Then we're gonna select from the result list where that's gonna point back to the D Windows prefetch. And you're gonna right click it and you're gonna open it, okay? So we have to use WinHex to be able to open it, so that way it translates that. So the executable that we previously unzip and put the desktop icon, we would just point to that desktop icon for the application to launch. Okay, so let me check on mine to see if it's there. Okay, it says finish with the current action. Okay, then I'm gonna go into search index, and then in here I would do Dropbox, and I click search. So here's my result list, and we want to get to this the PF right here. That would be our D Windows prefetch. Okay, and then we also have this one, but the middle one right here, you're gonna right click and then choose open with. Let me see if I choose open. Yeah, so if you choose open, I guess it's gonna give you the more options. And then we're gonna look for the app in the store. Oh, no, I want to look for the app in another location, sorry. It should let me use open with, but for some reason it's not. Let's see. Look at another app on this PC. And then I'm gonna go to desktop. And then I'm gonna choose WinHex. Okay, so that's what it would look like. And on the left right here, you would see the offset for the storage. Okay, these just represents location on where that would be. And notice that it tells you for Dropbox, okay, it would be at specific area. Okay. So now for the 80 and the 90, because they have you look at that. So in this one, what we see is we would see that, you know, when we're looking at the data like this, it actually spread out in this offset, and it shows it as your hex value here. On the left, it tells you the information about, you know, the offset, which is in hexadecimal. That's what you often see as addresses. And then the size of it and the information about the file. Okay. So once we have used WinHex with the tool, then you would click on the view, okay, and then you want to show data interpreter so you can evaluate it further. Now we're doing this so that way it adds it to the menu at the top, and then you want to use the option to look at the data interpreter. So let me show you how that is. So here we do view, show, we want data interpreter, make sure that's selected. Okay, then if once it's selected, you go to options and then choose data interpreter. With this, we can specify different options on how our data would look. So the first part, I think they have you selected the Windows file time. Yeah. So first you're gonna check the Windows file time for 64-bit. Then you're gonna look at the offset 80. And it should show some information about the data on the right. Then you would click on the 88, the 90, and the 98, and it shows you the date and time. Okay, so let's do that. So here's the Windows file time. We can click OK. Okay, so here's 80. Yeah, because when you click it, it actually sorted. So it shows that, and then the 90 is here. And then the 96 is there. Let me see. So what that does is it's showing you that what that would be for the timestamp when that storage was used. Okay. And some of the content, it's not going to be obvious plain text you see. Okay. So for the offset, you can click in different areas and then it would show that. Okay. So any question? So once you have to select, the first time you would select the file time, it shows you the date and the time where file was created in that cloud storage, okay? Then you would select the 8-bit unsigned. So I need to go back to options and I use data interpreter. I would clear this option and then I would check the other options, 8-bit unsigned. Now with this, you will then go back to the search, find hex value, and you can find specific hex value. They have you look for D4, okay? Because that could be a lot of things on the screen, so we're gonna look for D4, and once it locates it, it's gonna highlight it for you. Okay, so search is right here. Okay, find hex value is the second option. And then we would do D4. And then click OK. So it shows that it's right here. Okay. And on the right, that's just what it is. So at this point, after you search for certain hex, and you can search for other value, right, in the investigation, what this will do is that it says that if you put your cursor on the D4, it's gonna show you it to see how many times this application has been ran. Okay, so once you search for that value D4 in WinHex, it's gonna tell you the number that's been ran. Okay, so a little slow. Okay. So on the right as well, you would see a little pop-up where it shows you, right, for the 8 bits and so forth. So that will give you the value for equivalent for that. Any question? Okay. So this, right, this is where you would see on the right the number of the windows, and that would be able to track. So here it tells you additional information about the cloud forensic, cloud storage forensic, the website that you can refer to. Okay, so right here, it shows me 1 and number of window is 1, just like the screen capture. Okay, any question? So for the hands-on project, you are going to do similar steps. You're going to add the drive. You're still going to do the D with the image, just repeating the same step that you did. Okay. But in this case, you're going to navigate to the F drive, and then you're going to choose the user, which is Denise. Okay. Then that's going to link to the Dropbox folder. Then you're going to use the file viewer, which is what you've done in the other 2 labs. Okay, where you look at, like 2 labs ago, we look at the file viewer tab, and then you would move forward. So some of the steps you've seen from the other exercises, so they have all the steps. Now on the 13.2, it have you look at the log file. Okay, so in the log file, it gives you that in text. For the thread, okay, and for the image information. So once you go through this, we would confirm, and let's see, and then we would use the converter for time to get the actual time for that. So the Unix time converter, that hex value, it's going to tell you the timestamp, because we want to use the UTC for the time zone. In the system, it's going to give you like a long value at the end, right here on the bottom. You're going to take that value and you're going to use the Unix time converter, and the website is this right here. And then it's going to tell you what that actual time is. Because in the system, the log time doesn't necessarily show that when the .log, it doesn't show the exact time. So you have to convert that value. Okay. So once you have it converted, you're going to copy it, and then you can paste it into here. They have you use a text editor. So that will be your timestamp for that artifact. Okay. Now, on the next part, it's going to do a different drive. So this one is going to be the OneDrive with the emails. Okay. I haven't linked the lab for the email and other things yet. I want you to do this one so that way you can see how cloud is done. And then on the fourth one, it's gonna go over the Google Drive, which is cool. Because you know that the users will have different type of cloud drive. So in the case where if the data is stored onto the cloud in different type of cloud storage, you can use OS Forensic to evaluate it, and then you would have to use WinHex to be able to look at the information. Okay. So based on the image that they capture for the Google one, there's two instances. For the Google Drive, meaning that the application is utilized twice or two windows were open to, to store and so forth. And then WinHex is going to give you the type of drive information. Very similar to the first part. So what we're seeing here is that you would be able to use OS Forensic and WinHex to be able to examine different type of cloud drive, just the same steps over and over again. You would, once you have the image extracted, if you have a folder, once you set up the case, you just simply use WinHex, right, with the OS Forensic to search and look at the index once you create the index. So the step is that we first have to have an image, we have to extract the image, we have to have the application ready, like WinHex, so we have to extract that. Then we would have a folder, right, where we can point to, so we can mount specific drive to it, because we want to be able to say that this image is mounted to this drive and it will link to that folder. Then we would use WinHex to create an index, or create an index in OS Forensic, use WinHex to search for a specific index, and then to look at the offset, then we can get timestamp information. If we cannot get it there, then we would go to the log, and then we would get the value from the log and be able to convert it to date and time, take a picture of that for reporting purposes. Okay, so in the OneDrive, you have to look at the log. And so for this one, for the Google Drive, you will be able to see it because it shows you right here the time that it was accessed. Okay, and then after we get all of that, you have to put together a written report, right? Date, time, number of times the program been ran, and that will be your report for your cloud analysis. Okay, do you have questions for me? So once you go through the first step, all the hands-on project is gonna look very similar to that, an exception for a couple of the steps. And for in the case where when you're using once you have created the index, you're gonna use the PF file, which is read in the WinHex WinHex application. So you have to use WinHex in order to look at the values there. Okay. No questions. So this virtual machine is not as slow as some of the other ones, but once we're on it and we're going through it, it might take a little longer once everybody's on it. And if you missed the beginning, I posted some video for the notes of the tool that we discussed in the lecture. And you can find it on the note page in the module, Unit 7 notes. Okay, so as you use some of these tools, just make notes of it on what it does, what you can get from it so that way you remember and be able to apply that. Okay. And then also, when you have time, so on the top of your practice lab right here is your practice lab exam prep. You can click, it has a little ribbon. Okay. Let me see if they put the forensic one like I asked them. Yeah, so it's not linking to that. I'll see if I can link to that in the next module with a separate one, but you do have some access with the Security Plus and some of the A pluses here. Okay. Before they were giving you more, but that just tells you some of the ones that we've been doing is it will give you the notation that the ones that you have used with the I. Okay. So there are other modules that we're going to be doing, but and Chris informed me that there's an important debate at 6 o'clock. So I will leave you to the lab. I will be on my computer doing other things after this, and I will get off Zoom so you can work on your lab and not have to worry about bandwidth. But if you do come across issues or have questions about something, drop me a message and I will respond. Do you have any question?
No. Go Kamala. Actually, I do. I went back into the CompTIA like you told me, the Security Plus, and I can't figure it out which one's the practice exams.
Okay, so for those of you who are new to this, Chris has done this when I made them do this in my other class last semester, but I think I just closed it. Let me get back to it.
Oh, okay. I saw it, yeah.
Yeah, so simply when you're in the lab, you have access to those practice, you know, so in the case where if you want to get Security Plus or A Plus certification, it's a good source of review. I felt like some of their questions are a little bit out of the scope. You know, I expressed that to them. I said, there's some Cisco question that's thrown in there. I don't think Security Plus asks about Cisco questions. So I think they fixed the problem. But once you click on the, yeah, they tell you that that's available there. Okay. So let's say that I wanted to use the Security Plus one. You click on it. And then when you do the learning mode, that's more of like a practice,
Oh, okay.
just to study. Okay. And that way you can go back and forth or whatever. But if you wanted to test your knowledge after you do the learning mode, you just do the exam mode. And yes, you can resume and it's gonna tell you how your score is, but before you attempt, please look at this, okay? Because it tells you the percentage of each area that it's gonna ask. Like 15% for architect design, you know, cryptography, and the Security Plus does have that. So there are 90 minutes, 90 questions. So you should give yourself about a minute a question, and that's how, you know, the test would be. You get an hour and a half and you're gonna get that many questions. So if you spend more than a minute on a question, you have to size down all your other questions, otherwise you won't finish. So make sure that you have a control of time. And so try the learning mode first and then the exam mode. I had asked them to put more titles on here, but they have not put it on here for me. I'll see if I can link some of it over, but okay.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Professor. I'll see
You're
you next week.
welcome. Yeah. Does anyone else have any other questions? No question? Okay, if you guys don't have any questions for me, then you have a wonderful night. I'll stay on for a little bit in case you have questions. David, you okay? You have any questions?
Hear me?
Yeah. What's going on, David?
Oh, not much. I was just making sure you can hear me because my Wi-Fi was being spotted.
Okay. Yeah, so I think for lab 7, I think you're gonna have an easier time. For the older ones that you were having issues with, you can put that on pause, and I think you should try this one. This one, the exercises, the steps are fairly easy. It's just to look at cloud storage like OneDrive, Google Drive, and Sky, the Dropbox, and it's gonna use the OS Forensic tool in Windows 8.1 and the WinHex to look at the hex value from the image.
Okay.
So yeah, so they created the image already, and that image have, the user accessing, their Google Drive, like Denise, she uses Google Dropbox and OneDrive. And then what we're trying to find out is, when she actually went on it, when it was accessed. So the hands-on project walk you through different type of drive. The first exercise, it walks you through the Dropbox evaluation. So once you do that, all the other ones are going to be very similar to that, except for a few steps in the second, in the third, in the third one, where you have to look at the log because it doesn't give you the timestamp.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay, so I
Yeah.
think you're gonna have an easier time on this one. So try this one tonight or tomorrow, and then if you have any challenges, let me know, and then you can come back to the other one. If they're locked, let me know. I can actually unlock them for longer. Okay.
Gotcha. Okay. And then I ended up finishing that other lab that I had issues with. Finally.
Okay, yeah, sometime the grade doesn't update for a little bit, and it does sync at one point, but if there's discrepancy, let me know.
Will do. Okay. Gotcha.
Okay.
All right. Appreciate it.
No problem.
All right. Have a good one.
Thank you, you too. Devin, you okay? You have any questions? Okay, Devin, I'm here. So if you have any question, let me know, okay?